Hi, everyone. Welcome to the broadcast this evening. My name is Hannah Fry. I am our Educational Marketing Coordinator with Family Source Consultants. I am joined here with Denise Conner, and I am so excited to speak with Denise tonight about all things related to surrogacy support. So, Denise, can you kick us off by just introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about your role specifically at FSC?
Absolutely. Hannah, I'm happy to be here with you tonight. I am Denise Conner, and I am the Surrogate Support Manager here at Family Source. I am married to my husband, Kevin, for 23 years. We have 14-year-old twin girls that will be 14 next month, actually. My background, I had my own struggle with infertility. There were a lot of people, there were a lot of resources needed to help get me pregnant. And after quite a few failed transfers, I was finally successful and have my beautiful girls. My husband and I knew right away when you have two at one time, it's pretty intense. So we were like, yeah, I think we're done. I originally always thought I wanted 3 kids. But then, like I said, having 2 at one time was like a game changer. So we decided we were done with our family at that point, but I loved being pregnant so much. So the next best thing was be a surrogate for somebody else. So I wanted to give back to the community that had helped me become a mother. I wanted to help another woman become a mother. So I was matched with a fantastic local couple, and we had a wonderful journey and a lot of mutual love and respect and appreciation for each other. And the culmination of our journey was a beautiful little girl who is absolutely the highlight of their world. And I get to see them going on all their vacations and just seeing them completely enjoy her. And knowing that I did that, was just, it was so fantastic. I loved it. After my journey, I was approached by Stacy at Family Source, and she said, "Hey, Denise, I think you've got the perfect personality to, we want to start up a support group. Like, are you interested?" And I was like, "What, are you kidding? Absolutely, I'm interested. Who would say no to that?" So that, here I am 10 years later. We have grown it from a once a month support group to all of these different variables that are included in our surrogate support now. And I couldn't be more excited about it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think that's a really important part. I know, me being part of the FSC community as well, it's great working with other folks who have personal experience with this. So how do you feel that your personal background and struggles with infertility, as well as your experience then as a surrogate, have informed the work that you're doing now in supporting other surrogates?
Well, I can sympathize with their intended parents in a lot of ways. I don't personally communicate with the intended parents, which kind of makes my role here a little more special. Case managers communicate on both sides of the coin. I don't. I'm just the Denise for just the surrogates. But yet I can also kind of relate to how the intended parents must feel. And sometimes I use that perspective when I'm, coaching somebody through a difficult situation and saying, you know what, let's take a step back here and let's think about how your intended parents maybe feel about this. And let's see if there's a different approach that we can take. Maybe look at it in a little different way than just the direct way that you're saying it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we are so grateful for the work that you do. I know our surrogates really feel that sense of community that you've really grown. So, and again, just a note for the folks who are watching, if you put a chat in or like a comment wherever you're watching from, we'll be able to react live to those comments and questions and answer anything that's on your mind. So feel free in the next half hour to go ahead and put those questions in the chat, and we can respond to those directly while we're live here tonight. So, so Denise, can you then tell us about this community that you've built? So you said that it started started with just a monthly support group. What is it now? What resources are you helping support now?
Gee, I only have 30 minutes to talk about this.
I know. We have more questions to get to also. So.
Okay, listen, I'm just going to take off here, and you just stop me when you need me to stop. Okay, so, we have our fabulous in-person groups. We meet once a month, usually either at our Family Source office. Occasionally, I host one at my home. And we talk about anything that needs to be talked about. And it's typically about the same girls. We get some new ones here and there, which I love. I love meeting new faces. So we have our in-person groups. That's once a month in the Chicago area. And then we also have our Zooms, our once a month Zooms. And those we started with COVID. I kind of wish we would have done it earlier, to be honest with you, because it's a fantastic way to bring surrogates from all over the country together to feel that community that we've worked so hard to achieve. I also do one-on-one check-ins periodically with the surrogates. I'll check in just to see, is there anything I can do for you? How is your journey going? Just any kind of additional support I can provide. We also have our private Facebook group, which I love. It's so fantastic. There's people that will just, if somebody puts a comment in about needing an answer for something, you're gonna get a whole bunch of answers, usually within like 30 minutes. So people are watching. They're on regularly, they're checking, and they want to contribute, which is something that I love. We are an absolutely drama-free group. It is not allowed. It's in our rules. We want positivity. We want encouragement. We want respect. And we want love for each other. We want to support each other when things are high, and we want to support each other when things are low, because it happens both ways. But I do love that the majority of the girls that are in our program have chosen to be in the group. And I just love that. I see it grow and grow, and more people say, "Oh, I just love this group," and that's really what we've strived for. And we've hit it, we've done it. So it's been fantastic. And we're just looking to grow and grow more and more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think all of those resources have been tremendously helpful. Do you find that so you said that there's in-person sessions for folks who live local. Do you think that the folks who don't live local to the Chicago area, though, it sounds like there's plenty of ways for them to, or have you kind of heard from them that there's community built no matter where you live?
Yeah, I think there's community no matter where. We all have that camaraderie, whether you're in Florida or California. You have the Zooms that you can join, you have the group. And we also, I forgot to mention, we do every month form what we call our transfer group. And our transfer group is the women that are having an embryo transfer in that month. And the purpose of that group is so that they can more closely support each other through this specific time in their journey. Maybe they're transferring on the same day. Maybe their betas are the same week. And just forming, we try to just form closer and closer bonds with everybody so that they know that they're not alone, because a surrogate pregnancy is very different than a normal pregnancy. As you know, Hannah, there are medications involved. There are all kinds of procedures and processes that you have to go through. And, just the simple fact that you're carrying a baby for somebody else, there are going to be questions there. There are going to be things you need to talk about. And, your surrogate sisters are really the only ones that are going to understand it. While my best friend might listen to me talk about it, she's not going to understand. She's not going to get it. But your other surrogates will. So I feel like with our private support group, we've grown that network, whether you're here or there, to all be here in our circle with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely relate. So I was a one-time surrogate. I delivered last year, and I relied on that Facebook group heavily. I still am in some just surrogate support groups, like larger groups that are outside of Family Source. And I found that the one through Family Source specifically is so helpful because it's a smaller, tighter knit community. I felt like I really got to know the other people in the group, no matter where they lived. So for me specifically, I remember I asked a question. So I had like my first beta test, and I felt like my numbers were a little low, and I was like very worried about it. And like you said, like my friends who love and support me all the time, they didn't particularly know or care about what beta numbers are because they had never really needed to deal with that. So I know that for me during that time where I was completely beside myself panicking, it was so nice to have that group that was like, it's okay, here's what my numbers were, or your numbers seem fine, and everything was fine. But
Exactly.
I think that's a huge asset. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, what if somebody is a little more like introverted, maybe doesn't want to participate? I know you had said like the most choose to be a part. And so I just wanted to confirm, like it is a choice, right? And are there other resources available then for folks who might not want to be kind of loudly vocal in a group like that?
Absolutely. So while a large majority of our surrogates are active in our group, there is also quite a few that are not. And they either are not social media friendly, so they're just not on Facebook at all, or they're in the group, but they're kind of watching from the sidelines. Every once in a while, you might see them pop up a like to a comment. They're not going to post pictures. They're not going to post any questions. They're not going to do too much. They're just going to be kind of in the sidelines. And, that's okay too. There is no right or wrong here. There's no right way to do your journey and wrong way to do your journey. You do you. And, in the end, if you're feeling good about your journey and you haven't talked to one single other soul, who am I to judge? Go for it. And I do, like I said, I check in on a, periodic basis. And there are some that just don't ever respond to me. And that's okay too. I still reach out if something goes astray. I still send, congratulations on your delivery. I still let them know, hey, I'm here just in case you forgot about me, just in case you need me for anything. Because, I really just don't want anyone to ever feel that they're out of the loop, and that they're on their own, even if they don't really want to be too active. But at the same respect, we do have some people that are at our in-persons. They're on our Zooms. They're answering all the questions. They're, doing all the things. They're super social. They want, and that's what they want. That's what they like. That's what they need. And that's awesome. It's really important to know that this is customizable, and it's about what you desire, not what you're required to do. You're sent an invitation to the group. If you choose not to accept it, that's okay. If you decide a couple months down the road, and that just happened this week, hey, Denise, can you send this person an invite to the group? Absolutely, I'd love to. And now we have a couple new members this week. So, we're good either way. We just want you to be happy.
Yeah. Oh, we love that. And what kind of topics are discussed either in the Facebook group or on these Zoom calls, in-person meetups?
We should probably talk about what isn't discussed.
That'd be a shorter list, I know.
We talk about everything. We talk about anything that needs to be talked about. We'll talk about medical screening, its issues. We'll talk about clinics. We'll talk about legal. What should I have in my legal contract? What should I not? We'll talk about, transfer, traveling for transfer. How is your relationship with your intended parents going? How does your family feel about it? Oh, your in-laws are obsessed, or upset that you're caring for a same-sex couple. Oh, that's awful. We discuss all sorts of things. We talk about postpartum expectations, what the relationship with your intended parents and their family may look like afterwards. We talk about delivery. Who's going to be in the delivery room? What kind of delivery are you going to have? Are you going to pump? Are you not going to pump? I mean, you name it, we got it covered.
Yeah, I know, again, for me, like some of the questions that were being asked in the group, and even I know I joined a couple of the virtual meetups as well, were questions that I didn't even know I should be asking. Like they asked the questions for me, and then I was like, oh, I should be thinking about the delivery room and what does that look like. I just didn't. You don't know until somebody else asks it, and then you're like, that's a very good point. So
yep,
yeah,
absolutely. And that's where the camaraderie comes in. That's where you need that support.
And the being real about things. I mean, even just in the 15 minutes that we've been on, I think people can gather that you're very approachable, and that is why you were selected to be the perfect fit for this job for you. But I think that that's really, you don't have to like make something up or put on a happy face when you show up to one of these Zoom calls. Sometimes it really is just like, here's a part of the journey that's been really hard for me as a surrogate, and can we talk about that? And I just want to like get it out there.
And I'm really glad you just said that, because number one is we try to make all of these situations as fun as we can.
Yeah.
But there are real hard things that happen, and those need to be talked about too. And everybody needs to know, whether you are on our Zoom or you're in our, in-person group, or you're in our Facebook group, we are very clear that it's a safe zone. Everything that happens, it's like Vegas, baby. Everything that happens at the group stays at the group. We're a safe zone. You can share, and nobody's going to run back and say anything to anybody else. You're allowed to really feel your feelings there and know that they're justified. And even if they're don't go with the flow of everybody else's feelings, you're allowed your journey and how you feel about it.
Yeah. It's very validating. Again, for me personally, that was wonderful. And I know that I'm, speaking for a lot of other surrogates who feel the same way. So, and again, just a reminder to folks who are watching, if you do have questions in particular, thoughts or comments, feel free to put those in the chat and we will get to them. Denise, I want to know what your favorite part of your job is.
Oh, my favorite part. Oh my gosh. I love that I have the opportunity to literally be a part of every single journey. Case managers are handed, their cases. Denise gets to go in all the cases. Like I get to
everybody's
interact with everybody, which I love. I just really love when somebody, when I feel like I've made a difference to somebody, when they've said, gosh, I'm so glad like you happened to call today, or you happened to text me today. Sometimes I just catch people at the right time, not knowingly, when they really needed that text or that phone call. And I love that. I feel like, and it might, like I said before, it might not be for everybody, but I do love when I feel like I've made a difference and helped them even a little bit through something that might have been difficult, and revel in their happiness too, and once delivery happens, it's just the best when you hear those birth stories and you get those responses that are, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did this. You were right. It was so awesome. And, that's it. That's it right there. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah. Do you, without obviously giving any personal details or any identifying details about anybody, can you think of like a particular example or journey you've gotten to be part of in some way that was particularly rewarding for you?
I can't pick one. Yeah. I really can't pick one. I love all of them for their uniqueness. I've learned something from each and every one of them. And I've become friends with a lot of the surrogates. Like sometimes I'll say, oh, blah, 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 blah. And my husband will be like, who's that? And I'm like, it's one of my surrogate friends. He's like, you have an awful lot of those. Well, I do. I will say that there was an instance where and this was probably the only time this has happened. I actually did meet with a set of intended parents that were local, and they were just struggling. You know, they were having a really hard journey, and I, thought I could help, and so I met with them, and they ended up having, a successful journey, and they have this just amazing little girl that is traveling the world, literally. And it's awesome. Every time they post a picture, I'm just like thrilled. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad you guys didn't give up. Like, I'm so glad, I just love seeing the culmination of those journeys.
Yeah. Yeah. And all the work and, everything that goes into it. So
yes, it's sometimes the heartache, it's not always easy. It doesn't always come easy. But I always say that. I said it might not be easy, but it's going to be worth it in the end. I promise you.
Yeah.
And I'm always right about that. Just saying.
Yeah. You've been a professional at this for so long now. I trust you. When in the journey then do folks get to receive some of these support, like access to these resources? Do they have to be pregnant already as a surrogate?
No.
Is it before then?
No, right away. So what happens is after you are matched with your couple, you'll move from intake and matching, and then you move on to case management. And as soon as you move on to case management, that's when I find out about you. And I send my introductory email and your invitation to our Facebook group, and you're put on my list. And once you're on my list, you can't run away from me. I know where you are. And, the invites for our Zooms are in our group, and anybody can join right from the get-go. You don't have to wait for any particular time in your journey. If you're seeing the invitation, you're invited. And, I'm seeing more and more people join the Zooms and stuff earlier on, which makes me happy too. I like that they're getting in right from the beginning.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that, because I know for me, I almost felt like it wasn't real yet for me, or that I was like kind of a fraud before I got to the real stuff, a little bit like an imposter. I was like, am I supposed to be here? But yes, for folks who are just getting started in the journey, and that's when I feel like I needed to know.
It's happening before. Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of the real stuff is happening before. So it's once you're in, you're in. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, when I was already pregnant, I was like, cool, this is easy enough. I can do this. But it was all the before stuff that I think would have been helpful. And I think I made the mistake of hanging back too long, because I was like, am I supposed to be here? Like, everybody seems to know what's up. So we did have a question from the chat. So someone's wondering how long you've been in your role.
I have been in my role for 10 years. It started out just with the in-person support groups monthly. And that was, I needed something that was flexible for me. My kids were, still little, and I wanted that flexibility of doing the things at school, and this was the perfect opportunity for me. I never knew it was going to grow into what it's grown into, and I couldn't be more thankful to actually be doing something that really makes a difference in people's lives, and a big difference. That's the ultimate. I think that we all hope for. In life.
Absolutely. Isn't that wild that you started this job when you had 4-year-olds and now you have 14-year-olds?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just said your girls were little. Yep.
It sure is.
Yeah. And that's, I think, also a good point to bring up. So everyone who's a surrogate has kids of their own. So is that when do these support groups happen? Are they kid friendly? What does that look like?
So they happen in the evening. Usually we meet at 6:30. for our Zooms and our in-person. However, we do on occasion meet on the weekends. And during the summer, I do host a couple play dates where we meet during the week, during the day, at a water park or a park. And this year, I actually recruited my daughters, and I was like, you're coming with me. Like, I need you to wrangle the littles so that the moms can talk. And they loved it. They were like, when's the next one? When can we come? Is blah, blah, blah going to be there? Is blah, blah, blah going to be there? He was so cute, yeah. And they loved being a part of it too, which, warmed my heart. So, yeah, we, the timing of it's never going to be perfect for everybody. We sometimes do the Zooms on Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays. It's never going to be perfect for everybody, but we try to make it as accessible as we can.
Mm-hmm. And I know that the ones that I've joined, folks might be making dinner, or might be running around with kids, and that mute button is there for a reason. And if you can just pop in and listen and chime in every once in a while, that's good enough sometimes, right?
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes all you need is, and we've had that happen too, blank screens and people are just listening in, and that's okay too. Whatever you need, however you need it, whenever you need it, it's
Denise,
all good. It's all good. We'll make sure it's covered.
Now, since you've been part of so many journeys, is there any, or even just a few words of advice that you would have for folks who are just getting started on theirs?
I would say, no question is a dumb question. I have some mottos that I use all the time where everyone's probably like, oh, here comes another Deniseism. She says this all the time, but I say it all the time because it's true. And one of my mottos is the answer is always no, unless you ask. If you sit back and are thinking something in the back of your mind and you're not saying anything to anyone about it, you're never going to get an answer. Sure. Ask the questions, do the research, put it out there. Nobody's going to think you're stupid. Nobody's going to think it's a dumb question, because I guarantee you, if you're asking it, it's been asked before. So, absolutely. Just ask the questions, do the research. And I feel like just trying to be a part of the community in some way is beneficial.
Yeah. Can you speak, and again, we can kind of wrap on this note, just the benefits overall that you've seen to have, like, why is it so important that surrogates have a support community that's kind of even just outside of the people in their own lives?
Because things don't always go well. Things don't, there are highs and there are lows to doing this. And when you're going through a low, you need to be able to talk to other people that have been there in that low. And there are other people. And me in my position, I kind of have the benefit of knowing, and it happens, quite often. Somebody may have an issue and I'll think back and I'm like, oh, I know somebody I can put her in touch with that can relate to what she's going through. And friendships are formed that way. It's just, when you're doing a surrogate journey, it's just very different from a normal pregnancy. And you just never know when something is going to happen and you're going to need that support. And it's just always easier if you're already established in our little community to feel okay about putting a question out there or looking for that support. Because even if you have a smooth sailing journey, there's likely going to be something that you're going to want to talk to somebody about at some point.
Yeah. Even on the flip side of that, like for me, it was very helpful to have a community of people cheering me on in a very specific way that I wasn't able to get that support. Like, again, my friends care about me and know about this stuff to some extent, but like, we just had an ambassador recently give herself an injection, and that video made me cry. Like, she was so proud of herself, and I was so proud of her for giving herself that injection. And like, that's the sort of thing, again, that like my husband doesn't get it. You know what I mean? Like, he gets it on a lot of levels and is very supportive, and still it's so nice to have that community, I think.
Absolutely. And we're each other's best cheerleaders. We want to see those heartbeats. We want to see those positive betas. We're excited for you when you're transferring. We're excited when you're asking a question about your meds. I mean, it's addictive is kind of what it is, which is probably why people keep coming back and doing it 2 and 3 times, which is awesome. And I love, so keep doing that.
And it's been so fun now that I've been in it for a couple of years to see the names pop up again. That's been so cool. Yep. So I'm sure that's extra cool for you.
I always know when they're coming back for another journey, because all of a sudden they've been quiet for a little bit, and then all of a sudden you'll see them start liking things. I'm like, she's coming back. I know it. And lately, it's been really great because I've sent out my, congratulations on your delivery, blah, blah, blah. And so many of them are coming back and saying, I can't wait to do it again. Like, that was so awesome. When can I sign up again? I want to do this. I said that in the delivery room, and I'm like, just give yourself a little bit of time, but sign up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really speaks to it. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, again, Denise, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Contributions.
Listen, I'll talk about this all night long if you let me. So.
So good. And that's what the support groups are for as well. So again, we appreciate the resources that you've kind of grown and been able to provide for our Family Source surrogates. I know that's the comments have just been, I can't wait for you to get off and check them out, because the support that you've gotten even from the surrogates has been really exciting during this chat. So thanks everyone for watching, and we will be back. You'll come back at some point to
Absolutely. Just invite me, I'll be here.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.